Welcome to the AC 24/7 Top Story Countdown. We'll guide you through the biggest news of the day. Our focus, advocating our rights, advocating equality, advocating health, and advocating Earth. Here's our pick for number 4.
If I weren't leading in the polls by so much, they wouldn't be indicting me.
Donald Trump back on the campaign trail in Iowa, trying to use the indictments and investigations surrounding him as a weapon to rally Republicans around his quest to win back the White House.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom.
The former president making clear he is consumed by the special counsel's intensifying probe of his attempts to cling to power and overturn the results of the 2020 election.
Every time I get a subpoena, my polls go up, I get more and more subpoenas. Report to a grand jury. He's killing Biden. He's killing them all.
Before his appearance today in Council Bluffs, advisors told CNN Trump would focus on confronting a leading Republican rival.
Well, hello, Iowa.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
He would be a total disaster. Every Iowan also needs to know that Ron DeSantis totally despises Iowa ethanol.
But Trump stepped on his own attack lines, portraying himself as a victim of prosecutors trying to derail his candidacy. Trump returned to Iowa as many of his Republican rivals bluntly question his ability to win a general election. As they seek to gain attention in a crowded field of candidates, some contenders are taking to the airwaves.
Small-town boy, self-made business leader.
The radical left have chosen a culture of grievance over greatness.
Others are shaking hands, introducing themselves to one voter at a time. Former Vice President Mike Pence implored Republicans to turn the page to avoid losing in 2024.
I honestly believe that different times call for different leadership.
More than 6 months before the presidential nominating contest begins in Iowa, Republicans are a party divided between Trump excitement and Trump fatigue. Starlin Perdue, who leads the Pottawatomie County Republican Party and is staying neutral in the primary, is uncertain how that divide will be settled.
There are people that are still very much pro-Trump, other ones that are exploring their options. And so it will be interesting to see how it plays out. I think truly it will just be time will tell on how it will impact his election.
TheAdvocateChannel.com looks at the world through the lens of equality and inclusion. Subscribe, like, and share now. AC 24/7's Top Story Countdown continues with our producer's pick for number 3.
It's a complete must.
You agree with it?
100%.
Republican voter Valentin Hernandez is 100% in favor of Florida's Republican Party requiring 2024 presidential candidates to sign a loyalty pledge to support the party's eventual nominee. And if they won't sign the pledge, they won't appear on the ballot.
If you don't do that, you're a disorganized party and you're going to lose the elections. You have your difference first, you settle them, and then you vote as a party. We don't want any prima donnas here.
Florida's GOP didn't insist on a loyalty pledge last cycle. Now that 3 Floridians could be on the ballot, Donald Trump, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, it could get interesting. Former election lawyer Ben Ginsburg.
This is Ron DeSantis' own state party who is giving this huge tactical advantage to Donald Trump. So what it means is that Ron DeSantis really has to temper and moderate his criticism of Donald Trump, or he'll find Donald Trump saying, oh, Ron DeSanctimonious doesn't really mean this. He's already said he's going to support me for president, so don't take his criticism serious.
Yaz Hernandez, who voted for Trump twice along with her husband, likes DeSantis too. She says the party must unite behind the eventual nominee, no matter who it is.
Donald Trump needs to support DeSantis if DeSantis is the front runner. That's the way I feel.
And you wouldn't want to vote for someone who didn't sign the loyalty pledge?
No, I wouldn't.
Ginsburg says the loyalty pledge isn't illegal or necessarily unethical.
When it comes to party politics, there are a few ethical rules. I think this is more a moral gut check issue for party leaders about whether you want to try and tilt a presidential primary for a frontrunner.
The loyalty pledge gives the state's Republican Party the power to decide who they'll allow on the ballot, which Ginsburg says could hurt some voters by limiting the number of options they have.
What if your candidate who you like refused to sign the loyalty pledge? That person couldn't be on the ballot. Would that be okay with you?
No, it wouldn't.
Christian Ziegler, the chairman of the Florida GOP, told CNN via email the loyalty pledge is an effort to ensure maximum unity heading into the 2024 general election. But not every Republican voter we spoke with is in favor of it.
However, I do think it takes away our individual freedom. I think it just does. I don't know if it's necessary.
And this independent voter who voted for Trump in 2016 says Florida's Republican Party is playing with fire.
I think they put themselves in a position to be criticized. If they didn't ask for a loyalty pledge, the majority of the public would not perceive that there's actually a problem.
Like the Advocate channel on Facebook for the best way to get updated stories that advocate for equality, justice, our rights, and more. AC 24/7 continues with today's top 2 pick.
On the 500th day of Russia's war on Ukraine, President Biden headed to Europe to keep up his fight for Ukrainians on the diplomatic stage. Tuesday, he'll meet with fellow members of NATO, the Western alliance, helping Ukraine defend against the Russian invasion. The prime issue expected? Whether Ukraine can join NATO now. President Biden said the war-torn nation is not ready, should only join after the war has ended, and pointed out what it would mean when a NATO nation is at war.
If the war is going on, then we're all in a war. We're at war with Russia if that were the case. So I think we have to lay out a path, for the rational path, for Ukraine to be able to qualify to get into NATO.
The NATO summit in Lithuania will take place just days after President Biden approved cluster munitions for Ukraine's defense. The weapon is banned by more than 100 nations. Many of them belong to NATO. Cluster munitions send out dozens to hundreds of mini bombs, and the bomblets often do not detonate immediately. The duds pose a long-term risk to civilians who may come across them later. The U.S. greenlighting cluster munitions has won praise from some Biden critics, like Republican Congressman Mike McCall.
They are highly effective, and particularly hitting flanks of troops inside of Ukraine. They would be a game changer in the counteroffensive, and I'm really pleased the administration has finally agreed to do this.
Follow the Advocate channel on Twitter and Instagram to stay updated on stories that matter every day. We now have our #1 story of the day. Take a look.
I was excited.
Heather and Nicholas Mayberry were thrilled in December to find out they were adding to their brood in Stanton, Kentucky.
And we found out we were pregnant with Willow 2 days before Christmas. So she was like our early Christmas present.
But then, in April, when Heather was 20 weeks pregnant, she posted on Facebook, "Please keep Nick, me, and our girls in your prayers. We just received the worst news about our baby girl."
And this is when we actually found out that Willow had anencephaly. It was just like a kick in the stomach.
Anencephaly, confirmed by 2 doctors, a condition where the baby is missing a major part of the brain.
How did it feel to hear those words?
It was the worst feeling in the world. There's no words to explain how we felt.
I was devastated.
Yeah, we just broke down.
Were the doctors clear with you about what her chances were of surviving?
They told us there was no chance. They said that either she would be stillborn or she would die within a few hours.
The Mayberrys wanted to end the pregnancy. They didn't want their daughter, Willow Rose, to suffer. And Heather's blood pressure was already high and could get dangerously higher as the pregnancy went on. But Kentucky law bans nearly all abortions, and there's no exception if a fetus has a severe birth defect, even one like anencephaly. 3 sponsors of Kentucky abortion laws did not respond to emails from CNN. Heather and Nicholas traveled out of state. They wanted to induce birth to at least get the chance to hold their daughter, but that cost tens of thousands of dollars that they didn't have. Their only option? Surgery that did not leave their child intact, so they couldn't hold her.
Now we're grieving pictures, we're grieving footprints, we're grieving on a teddy bear. We'll never know what her face looked like. We'll never know what it was like to hold her in our arms. I mean, we're missing out on that. We're grieving someone that we've never seen.